how careers are built, organizations grow, and leadership works in the real world. Today, we're joined by Jonathan Hulley, a partner in a law firm whose career has also spanned public service and community leadership. It is a perspective that brings together law, responsibility, decision making, and the realities of building credibility over time. Jonathan, welcome to Swann Hour. You have worked across law, leadership, and public life.
It's very nice to be here, and thank you very much for the invitation. I'm grateful that you have found me. I'm based in the United Kingdom, but I have very, very strong memories and strong links to the city of Cape Town. I remember Sam Swann very well indeed. When I was a new lawyer at a law firm in London, I came across Sam at that firm. I remember him being a trainee solicitor at the time, and I remember working with Sam, and I always knew he was destined for great things, and so I'm delighted to see how he now bases himself in the city of Cape Town, a city that's very close to my heart. Looking at my own journey, I came to the United Kingdom in 2002. I was born and brought up in Cape Town. I spent my school years at Rondebosch High School, and I'm very proud of the fact that I'm a Rondebosch old boy. I spent a number of years at the University of Cape Town, having spent time there studying law and qualifying at the University of Cape Town with an LLM degree. I then spent a year in Holland as an exchange student. It was an opportunity was given to me to spend a year in Holland studying towards a master's degree, and it was through a scholarship program that was awarded to me by the university after my LLB. And that was a fantastic year. I remember it very well. It was an opportunity to broaden my horizons, an opportunity to experience different cultures, meet people from around the world, whilst also building my academic credibility. And that stood me in good stead when I returned to Cape Town to take up a training contract, a candidate attorney contract with a well-known law firm in Cape Town then.
Amazing. We'd love to know what your days looked like after you were newly qualified. Would you let us have a glimpse into your journey?
Yes, so I actually qualified twice, Zara. I qualified as a South African attorney for a second time in the United Kingdom,
Yes.
and I now still practice as a UK solicitor. I remember very well qualifying as a South African attorney. I spent a number of years at a law firm that is now well known. Back then it was a firm called Seifert, Godlington, Fuller Moore Attorneys, and they were based in Cape Town. And they're now a firm called Cliff Decker, and they are a big
Oh, of
national
course.
firm. But that was the first formative years, my typical day as a young qualified attorney. And my advice to young lawyers is that you must build credibility with clients as a key path to success in the law. If you're able to engage with clients who are human beings, who have challenges, who have requirements, who are facing difficult personal circumstances, if you have empathy, if you have an ability to engage on a human level, then you will succeed. I'm a lawyer specializing in litigation work. Preparing for court was
Yes.
the other memory I do. Cape Town, meeting clients and preparing for court. So, it is a typically very busy day. I remember being involved in a piece of rather difficult divorce-related litigation. Met in the morning, a number of meetings, preparing
Yes.
for a trial case at the Town High Court that afternoon. And I remember then heading to the advocates' chambers and very, very close to the High Court. I remember being in a meeting with the advocates and the clients, and then heading to the court itself. And we all sat down, the presiding judge opened the session, and then proceeded questions about the quality of the trial bundle, which I had been responsible for. I remember the judge saying that the trial bundle was adequate, and someone on our needed to sort it out. So I was adjourned, and I spent the rest of the afternoon on my knees in chambers sorting the trial bundles. The embarrassment as the pressure was something I'll never forget.
Thank you for sharing that with us. Of course, something quite sensitive and it's amazing how you've overcome those types of things. They're probably now just a distant memory, and you try to train junior lawyers situations naturally. In terms of core principles that you say would have guided you and the way you worked and led back then, it would have been empathy and consideration towards both your clients and the type of work you do. And would you say these core principles govern the way you work today as well?
That those core principles guide me even now, Zahra. I think that perhaps they're even more important now that I am a partner in a law firm, because I'm not just responsible for those clients and those client relationships, but I'm also responsible for colleagues. So there's a internal management responsibility that goes with leadership, as well as managing your relationships with your clients. External response. I think the best partners are individuals who recognise talent in young people, nurture that talent, work incredibly hard to ensure that those young people who have that talent and what I describe as a gift for graft, an ability to work hard in a sustainable way, matched with a nation to make a sort of positive difference, are those young people that I seek to nurture and to bring on and promote in time as well.
It's
I think the other
absolutely
thing,
impactful.
yeah,
Yes, please.
it's about investing in people. So a law career is very much about investing in people. I think a golden thread of a legal career is that you invest in people. Someone invested in me by giving me an opportunity to join their firm as a young lawyer, and this was both in Cape Town and then in London. Someone invested their time to train me, to expose me to clients and to casework opportunities, and I've seen that as absolutely fundamental to the progression of my career over the years. And what I've done, I've reversed those roles over the years, and I've identified people who I have given opportunities to.
Simple.
Seen them
That is
succeed.
such a major foundational sort of principle to establish. And we're grateful that you've shared that with us, Jonathan, because, you know, in terms of the impact one can have on one's trajectory, especially when it's mentorship and just sort of expanding your wings to others and just to say, let me pay it forward, let me take care of others and kind of bring them into the fold the way I was brought in. That's incredible as well. Especially with a profession as it is today, and it's evolved in terms of artificial intelligence, and you know the ways of working just remain constant. And when there are good ways of working and there are good principles governing those, it's important that you have a mentor that can guide you, and it's just traceable and invaluable. So I'm glad that you shared that with us. It's incredible.
A recent mentorship in the context of the digitisation of the legal profession, increased use of artificial intelligence. I take the view that artificial intelligence will never replace the value of a lawyer. I think that, as I mentioned earlier, the best lawyers have empathy. The best lawyers really take time to understand their clients and their clients' requirements, and the best lawyers nurture good people who provide support to yourself but also to your clients over time. And no artificial intelligence or digitization can ever replace it. However, what we is that those same young people are taking advantage of artificial intelligence by developing tools that allow them to do their job better. I had no idea, but you're able to create agents, artificial intelligent agents, that essentially allow you undertake a particular task taking advantage of AI. Something I'm
Our approach to AI is very much the same. It's supposed to enhance your quality of work, not take away from it. And it has to be used, of course, with the highest level of discretion. Otherwise, we have AI everywhere. There's not many lawyers, which do good for any of our clients or for the profession as a whole. If we could ask you a couple of, for those hearing your name, Jonathan, perhaps for the first time, how would you describe your role today and the kind of work that you are most focused on?
So my role today is multifaceted. It's no 2 day is the same. That sounds like a cliche, but it really is the
Not at
case.
all.
It is a combination of client meetings. These are existing clients who we are supporting through a particular project or in relation to a legal requirement that they might have. It's then finding new clients to support, and I specialise in the provision of social housing, and the clients I work with are public landlords. They are organisations that exist to build houses on an industrial scale for people who wouldn't ordinarily get onto the housing ladder because of a lack of opportunities and a lack of finance available to them, but want to get onto the housing ladder nonetheless. And our job is to support them through that journey. And that means building a large number of houses across the United Kingdom to support those organisations who are public sector. They source their legal support through procurement. And so my day is taken up in preparing a document, what I would describe as a pitch document, tender document, as some people might describe it as well. We are, what our capability looks like, who sits in our team with their levels of experience, and then actually going in front of them. And we are the ones that, to do is bring along to those present meetings some of those young lawyers who will help us. It also involves claims appearance in court, and then after hours it is very much about attending various sector events that either part of being invited to them or you are sponsoring a public event, because that's also very important. Getting your name out there, which helps build tea as well.
And Jonathan, as a partner in a law firm, you've touched on mentorship, you've touched on core principles. What does law actually require beyond being technically good at law?
Yes, I mean, there are lots of examples of successful procurement exercises that I've been involved in, but also the networking. One example I remember, we were presenting to a very large London-based housing association whose role it has been over many years large number of houses in southeast London in particular, and they were going to establish a legal panel of providers, and we shortlisted. I remember being right in the middle of the heart of preparing a set of slides ahead of the tender presentation, and the question was who would take what slides and who would emphasize what that needed to be said. I remember we then decided that would lead with the opening, and two very young, very experienced, but really rather mentally motivational in their delivery, take the middle section. A colleague of mine who was much older than me, far more experienced than me at the time, would do the bits, the conclusion section, and that went very well, I thought. And after the presentation, one of the panelists who were listening to us spot came up to me and said, "You know what, Jonathan, the best presentation was the second person, the youngest in the room, came across a genuine, bubbly way, but also quite capable in doing it. We've gone with you, John. Well done to your team." But I remember thinking to myself, well, actually, you back youth. You've got to back young people. Give them the opportunity to help you in business, and in this case they absolutely did, and I've never forgotten that.
It does make sense when you think about someone having to take the initiative and being proactive, and you have to look at the existing skill set and bringing that to where you need it as well. So that's very, very nice to hear. Jonathan, what would you say have been your professional and personal motivations over time which have driven you to this point in your career?
I started out in Cape Town, as I mentioned earlier, was a candidate attorney at the law firm I've described, Goddenton, Fulham Hall, now Decker. And I remember enjoying my time there immensely, but I remember being very community-minded, focused even, and taking an executive committee member of the Cape Town Candidate Attorneys Association. That meant organising socials, not just within the law firm, but law firms in and around town, and interacting with other young lawyers in the profession at my stage of my career at the time. But it also meant engaging in some of the big issues of the day. And I can remember very clearly that in the late 1990s there was an open question about what roles young lawyers in the profession should be playing in the wider community. And it was a time when the government at the time was talking about the importance of young doctors spending time as part of their internship, giving back to their communities as part of the progression of their career. And the question then was, should young lawyers be doing the same? Now, many of us at the time, and indeed I remember very clearly at the University of Cape Town, spending time into the community and to individuals who needed legal support free of charge. So I remember going into bat on behalf of the Cape Town candidates and participating in a debate with the Deputy Minister of Justice at the time. Absolutely want to give back to their communities at university, support through law clinics, but that should be part of your training, not in addition to, which I think was the big your career by a period of time, spending time in the community. And I argued that the two weren't mutually exclusive. You could progress your career whilst also giving back to the firm.
That's incredible to hear. And I think we need you back here then, because it seems that pro bono hours are being reintroduced for candidates. So it's a policy that's been endorsed. It's still to be formalized, but it is coming back in terms of during your traineeship, or as they say, articles in South Africa, you're going to have to do a prescribed number of hours pro bono. So yes, when you're on a flight to South Africa, you let us know and we'll rope you in with the Legal Practice Council.
And I
But
remember
all
also very clearly that I then got involved in Cape Town politics, and I was elected to the Cape Town City Council in
yes.
2000, in December of
Wow.
and spent nearly 2 years representing a southern suburbs constituency while still practicing law. And then in 2002, my wife, who wasn't from Cape Town, said to me one, "Look, Jonathan, I want to return to the United Kingdom, and you need to come with me again." And I did start again from. But no, I
Yeah.
remember my time in Cape Town law, and in Cape Town city politics very well and very fondly. And I like to think that I made a small little contribution at the time.
What strikes me, Jonathan, is that you're a nice part of the community, and it seems that community building has always been a motivation, or at least center of what you try to do, and just paying it forward and giving back. That's very impactful. So, in terms of there being a defining point in your career when you realize that leadership and not just legal practice in the technicality of it would become part of your path, I feel like you've already shared that in terms of your motivations, that it was just inevitable that you would take up these roles in terms of being in the community, front facing, helping others, uplifting others, whether junior lawyers or members of community or the public, in terms of your nature of the work. Was there for you a personally defining point when you realized this in terms of leadership becoming part of your path?
I think that what I have done over the years is, as best I can, compartmentalize my professional career. I remember being very determined when I arrived in the United Kingdom in 2002, and that's when my paths with Swann crossed, to qualify as a UK solicitor. I was not interested in living a life on the margins. I wanted to requalify, and I wanted to join a law firm, and in this case specialising in the provision of social housing, and I wanted to progress my career through to partnership, having to requalify as a UK solicitor through the UK College of Law. I remember working as a paralegal in a law firm in London whilst I was studying at night and so could requalify. I remember working incredibly hard during the day to put food on the table and a roof over my head and my wife's head, whilst determined to pass those College of Law exams, and I did. I remember passing those to myself, right, that's the first step, I've done it. Then I joined a specialist social housing law firm, and I put my commitment to the community, which is in my DNA, it's absolutely in my DNA, metaphorically to the one side for a period of time in my life, because I knew that I would be of limited value if I didn't first concentrate on progressing my legal career and being able to contribute from a legal perspective first, and then community leadership later. So for a period of time, I put my head down and I just concentrated on the practice of building a credibility, building a client base, identifying those young people I mentioned earlier and drawing them into the team, building the team. That one young person I remember very fondly was Sam Swann. It was only after I became a partner. I spent 5.5 years between qualification and partnership, because I was made a partner after a 6 year, concentrating on the law and building credibility in the law. It was only after then that I just couldn't hold back any further, and the call to some sort of public service involved in UK political life, community life.
Jonathan, that's absolutely inspiring. When you requalified, it would have obviously meant a lot of hard work, especially starting from scratch in a different jurisdiction. Of course, different requirements and starting over. So that's amazing how you handled it and how you've brought yourself to a point where you are this figure. It's incredible. And yes, Sam has shared some incredible stories. He says you've made an impact on him, especially when it comes to dealing with clients and in terms of ways of working. He remembers very fondly working with you and what you may have imparted to him. So it does seem like you've had that glimmer for mentoring young lawyers even back then. In terms of skills that you feel have mattered the most in building a serious legal career, would you say it's hard work? Would you say it's concentration? All of those generic things that they do say build a legal career? Or would you say it's something more? You need to have a passion and intuition of it? Or would you say it should be a combination?
It's a combination of all the above, but I think it's underpinned by what I describe as trust. So your clients need to trust you, and you need relationships with your clients so that they do trust you. The young people in your team need to trust you as well. So when you are giving of your time to them, they need to know that what you are saying to them they can rely upon and they can use themselves as required. And then it's trust also amongst colleagues. So these are colleagues who I would describe as my level of seniority, as well as who are more senior lawyers in the firm, managing partner, members of the board. It's all about trust. And how do you build that trust? Well, I think you build trust over time. You build trust because you, over a period of time, become known as reliable and deliver a result for a client. You may saying to a young lawyer, I think you are partnership material, and mentoring them, they go to that partnership interview and they make it. There is much satisfaction seeing that done. And I think you build trust in colleagues by being honest and by being, in some cases, direct. Lawyers and dishonesty just don't go together. They never have. And dishonesty is bred from being untrustworthy. And so being trustful is what it is all about in the legal profession. And the problem is that a lack of trust, falling down when it comes to integrity, doing the wrong thing when you know you should be doing the right thing. These are all things that I think are endemic in society more generally. It's all built, I think, on trust, which is something that takes a lifetime to earn, which can be destroyed in a moment if you make the wrong decision. That if in doubt on anything, if in doubt and you feel your integrity is called into question, or you feel you're about to make a bad decision which might destroy trust, put your hand, ask a colleague, because not is far worse than actually just owning up and saying, can you help me?
Absolutely an invaluable piece of advice. Absolutely agree. And integrity is a very fundamental backbone of the profession. Jonathan, you've touched on trust and earning trust. What would you say of younger lawyers or professionals? What do they often misunderstand about what it takes to earn trust and progress?
They think very often that they expected to know the answer or to have all the answers. And actually, as you go through your legal career, you realise that you have all the answers and you're not even expected to. There's nothing more powerful than teamwork. It's an old saying, it's my late grandmother used to say that a problem shared is a problem solved. It's about lawyers are problem solvers, aren't they? That's what we are. We are problem solvers. A client will come to us with an issue and our job is to find a way through for them. And that to me is in many ways what life is about. There are challenges, there are circumstances, and it's about navigating your way through to a conclusion, to an outcome, but you can't do it on your own. I think is for me the lesson of a legal career is that you can't do it on your own. You take delight in seeing others succeed in the same way that they will take delight in seeing you succeed. In my view, what is so important is recognizing that whatever the situation, ask a question, ask for help, ask for support, and you'll get it, because that's fundamentally what lawyers are about. We are people who believe in others and in supporting others. And if you recognize that being in a law firm environment is about being part of a team, then you are destined for success.
Thank you, Jonathan. That is profound. And we're so grateful to have you share. From your experience, what makes a law firm strong from the inside?
Well, it does come down to its people. Interesting. I will answer the question by giving perspective on life at Burkitt's LLP is a top 50 UK law firm. I've been a partner at Burkitt's since 2020. I believe its strength lies in the fact that it invests in its people, that it invests in its fellow partners, my fellow partners, but also its young people who are navigating their careers, progressing their careers. I always thought was different about my law firm compared to competitors is that the chief executive is not a lawyer. And so what he does is bring to the table someone who is entirely business focused. He has a business brain, the army before he went into business. So he also has the freedom to think from a pure development without with the legal tagged to him. And I think that has given Burkitt's the edge over our competitors. Because the thing about lawyers is that I talked about integrity, but lawyers tend to be quite cautious. We are risk management animals. That's important because we are concerned about supporting other people and navigating other people's challenges to an outcome. So we are naturally quite cautious in the way we look at things and approach things. But a CEO who is purely all business doesn't see the world like that and is forever looking for business opportunities, which might include partnerships with other small law firms in different regions of the country, other lawyers and law firms who have an insight and a skill set that we don't have, which he just simply draws into the firm and makes it happen. I think that is something that I've been very impressed by at my law firm.
From the perspective that being a business-driven sort of individual as opposed to just a lawyer means you have more time to concentrate on just the commerciality of it, as well as what makes it work, what doesn't. The gears kind of having some friction. That's very good and amazing in terms of having a different perspective on it. What would you say, Jonathan, are the less visible pressures that come with helping lead a firm?
I think it is a profession that leaves little time for other things because it's so consuming. And I mean, it has and can have an impact on your family life, on your personal life over time. I remember the senior lawyers at the law firm that Sam and I were both members of for it, and talking about how some marriages haven't survived the partnership because they're essentially married to the law firm and to the clients. I've always felt that if you want a job done, you give it to a busy person. You find time throughout any given day to get what you need to get done. And if that means compartmentalizing your day, then so be it. But you can't do everything on your own. With others, you have to be part of a team. You delegate as well. The best lawyers out there are lawyers who are able to delegate. And I don't mean delegate in the sense of offload changes. It's sharing those and actually looking for support to deliver a product or an outcome for a client. And I think that leadership also in time, as you progress your career and you become more senior, affords you more time during any given day to reach out to new clients, to reach out to the broader community, perhaps even to wear more than one hat. And so I'm proud of the fact that at Burkitt's there are senior partners who have roles in their communities. Fellow partners in the social housing department that I'm responsible for is a deputy district judge. He sits as a judge.
And I suppose it's that responsibility that comes with being a leader as well. You delegate everything else, but you can't delegate the responsibility. That's absolutely insightful that you have the capacity, but you also have that responsibility you have to uphold consistently. And just in terms of that, I know you've said delegation is very important and sharing those problems with people who also share that part of the responsibility, people that want to learn and grow and develop. But in terms of what strong partners or leaders consistently get right, apart from the art of delegation and mastering their trade, what would you say that is?
Good leaders get outside of the usual scope. I think the best leaders in business, indeed in any industry, are the people who are able to breed confidence in the
Right.
project or the direction happens next. I think that there are people who work incredibly hard, who lead by example, will be the hardest working person in the room, but not necessarily be perceived as the cleverest person in the room. And that is a frustration for some, there's no doubt about it. And so what I've discovered over the years is that the best leaders are individuals who are able to articulate a vision
Mm.
or are able to explain why we need to do what we are going to do next and why we have to go in that direction and not there in. It's those people. It's the ability to use language. It's the ability
Mhm.
to speak in stories. It's the ability to say the right thing at the right moments.
Yes, they are. Thank you, Jonathan. Just in terms of that perspective, when it comes to leaders, what you find is they're sort of developing a way of thinking, especially when it comes to juniors or even their, equivalents. We need to know if Jonathan says this is the way we're doing it, as you say, why is it that that's the way we're doing it? Why haven't we considered that perspective and that alternative? And why should we trust Jonathan to be able to lead that team? So communication is absolutely key, and I'm really grateful you've touched on that. Let's turn to our next segment, which is the Swann question. We often ask on the Swann Hour, how are strong businesses, teams, or institutions really built in a way that lasts?
Of course, as you would imagine, it's built on people and built on
Yes.
people who are determined to contribute to the success of the whole. But I think the best organisations are organisations I would describe as learning organisations. Back in 2015, I took nearly a year out of the practice of law and returned to university. And I did a master's level course at the Oxford University Business School to learn and understand the art of leadership, building businesses. It would do a sort of a year-long MBA. I remember doing a study on what makes businesses successful, and I came across this academic theory around learning organizations. And essentially, what learning organisations do is that they are never satisfied with where they are now. There's always more. There's always things to do differently and better. Part of my degree was to identify a client and to essentially embed myself in their operations over the course of about a 6-7 month period and to write a dissertation on what applied the. But I do believe that the best organisations are learning organisations, the ones that are never satisfied with is now and are always looking to improve in so many different ways. And I think a nice example in the UK of an organisation that was able to learn to succeed is the British cyclists, the Olympic cyclists, who recognise that small margins of improvement can collectively result in success. A constant inquiry mind about how we do things or can do things differently and better is what I think characterises the best organisations and law firms as well.
We're on to our final segment. Has your view of success changed as your career has progressed, Jonathan?
Good question. And the short answer is no, it hasn't. If you determine to be successful in the law, then you need to recognise that the way it is achieved is to move through the gears of the profession. We are a profession where hard work, where loyalty, and where your ability to support others, both clients and colleagues, is the route to success. And there's no shortcut to that. It is about qualifying and using your time as a candidate attorney really well. And that is learning from senior colleagues in the different departments and applying that over the course of your candidate attorney. And then really, when you're given an opportunity to take on a qualified role, seizing that opportunity with everything you've got and taking it forward in a absolutely determined way, working hard, supporting clients, supporting colleagues, will see you promoted to an associate level and eventually to partner. So it may not be the answer you were expecting, but in the context of a legal career, there are no shortcuts. Empathy for your clients And if you are a team player who engenders trust, then there's no reason why you can't become a partner at the end of that exercise. And once you are a partner, you can give back to your law firm, but also to the wider community. And I've done that. So in 2019, I was my local authority where I live. I've served in the regional assembly in Surrey, including at cabinet level, all while we're in supporting good young people.
That is absolutely the goal that one should have in terms of paying it forward. You're absolutely a lesson for others. So, Jonathan, will you tell us more about this next chapter of your work and what you're most focused on?
Social housing and the need to build housing in the UK for people who can't get onto the property ladder otherwise is as important now as it was when I started my legal career in 2002. Also, 20 years, I'm very proud to have supported public landlords deliver large numbers of properties across the United Kingdom and help them manage those properties in that time. But we have a crisis in the lack of affordable housing in the United Kingdom. I'm sure it's the same in South Africa. We have to build homes at scale and at pace. And that isn't happening at the moment for various reasons. So the mission is critical. That is to build homes that people now need, but also future generations need as well. And I see that my role, lawyer, and my role in the community that I serve being as important now as it was back 20 years ago. In fact, perhaps even more important in terms of delivery.
Before you go, if people remember one thing about your work and your values, what would you hope it would be?
It's about making a difference. It's about making a difference to your clients. It's about making a difference to your colleagues, both senior to you and junior to you. And also making a difference to your chosen industry as well. And in my case, it's the social housing sector. Remember me by the motto, that man, he made a difference. And a positive.
Thank you very much for joining us today. A very valuable conversation on leadership, responsibility, professional growth, and what it takes to build something with substance. Again, we're forever grateful that you've joined us this afternoon, and we wish you all the best. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Zahra. Good evening, everyone.